So naturally, I'm going to start out with my potatoes. Every potato salad starts with potatoes. For this recipe and for my potato salad, I prefer using just regular old russet potatoes. They're the cheapest, they're the best. I've tried using Yukon Gold potatoes and red potatoes for this recipe. I prefer hands down the russet potatoes. It makes the best potato salad for me. You can use whatever kind of potatoes you like though. And using a potato peeler, I'm just going to peel these potatoes. A little trick for you, that little end on most potato peelers, it's kind of rounded. Use that to dig out the eyes of your potato. It's what I've always used it for, so it's just the perfect little tool to dig out the eyes of a potato. But what you want to do is just go ahead and peel your potatoes. And you don't have to peel your potatoes if you don't want to. If you like skin on potato salad, by all means, go ahead and leave the skin on. It doesn't make any difference. Personal preference. And as you're peeling your potatoes and you get one done, go ahead and put them into a large pot. This is going to be the same pot that I cooked these in that's filled up with water. You want to make sure and keep your potatoes covered. That will prevent your potatoes from oxidizing and turning that pinky brown color. But you just want to go through and peel all of your potatoes. And I am using 3 pounds of potatoes for this recipe. Now, once you get all your potatoes peeled, you want to go ahead and cut them up. Basically, you want to cut these into about 3/4 inch square pieces. So for these medium potatoes, I cut them in half, turn them 90 degrees, cut them into 3 pieces, if you will, that way. If it's a larger potato, do 4, and then cut those into chunks. Basically, like I said, you want about 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch pieces. And then again, throw your potatoes back into the water that you pulled the potatoes out of. That way they do not oxidize on you. Now, when you get all of your potatoes cut up, your water's going to be cloudy and it's going to be murky and it's going to be just full of all the starch coming off of those potatoes. What you want to do is rinse your potatoes well. You want to make sure that the water coming off of them is completely clear. Go ahead and rinse these a good 3 or 4 times and then drain them completely. You want to make sure that all of that starch gets off of those potatoes. Then you want to go ahead and light your stove and take your pot, and you want a large pot for this. Put it over medium-high heat, actually even high heat at this point. Take your drained potatoes and put those into your pot. And you want to add enough cold water to this to come up about 1 inch over the top of the potatoes. Starting off with cool water, your potatoes cook evenly. As the water comes up to temperature, your potatoes come up to temperature. If you start out putting cold potatoes into boiling water, the outside of the potato is going to be mush before the inside is actually cooked. And before this gets going too far, I'm going to take 2 large eggs and I'm going to put those in the water with the potatoes. This recipe uses hard-boiled eggs, and since I'm boiling the potatoes anyway, I might as well just boil the eggs right along with the potatoes. So just go ahead and add 2 large eggs to the pot, and you want to cover your pot and you want to bring this up to a boil. Now, once your water is at a boil, go ahead and give your potatoes and egg a gentle stir. You want to be careful with this because you do not want to break your eggs, and you also don't want to break up the potatoes. But once this comes up to a boil, you want to boil this for exactly 10 minutes. And how to check to make sure that your potatoes are done, you want to take a couple large pieces, take them out, put them on a spoon, and using a fork, you want to put the fork into the potato, and you want just a little bit of give in your potatoes before they break apart. If you can see there, it's just the slightest little bit of give before the potato breaks up. You don't want to cook these any longer than that because they will finish cooking when you take them off heat. But you want to go ahead and drain these in a colander, and once they are drained well, go ahead and pour your potatoes and eggs back into the pot that you cooked them in. And here you can dig out your eggs, and you want to put your eggs in a bowl of cold water. You want to stop that cooking process as soon as possible because if you cook your eggs too long, you're going to get that dreaded green ring around the yolk. Go ahead and put those in a bowl of cold water to stop the cooking process immediately. And then you want to keep your potatoes in the pot that you cooked them in to cool, and you want to cool them completely before you do anything else with them. If you add a salad dressing to hot potatoes, it's going to break on you, and you don't want that. So just go ahead and let your potatoes steam off and cool. And I'm going to let these sit for about a half an hour before I even start making the dressing for my potato salad. And while you're waiting for your potatoes to cool off, you can go ahead and peel your eggs. It helps to wait a little bit for your eggs to cool down before you peel them. Just go ahead and crack them on a countertop and then start peeling them. If you peel them underneath water or running water, they peel super easy. So as you can see here, it takes nothing to do it underwater. Water gets under there and the shell just slips off. But just go ahead and peel your eggs and set them off until later. I'm going to need a few vegetables for my dressing. I went ahead and already cut up half of a yellow onion here off a video. I thought I was recording when I wasn't. You don't need to see me chop onions anyway. Everybody knows how to do that. I have also got 2 stalks of celery here. I'm just going to cut the ends off as well as the tops. If you want to save the tops, they make a nice garnish. You don't have to keep them, and I'm not going to keep them here. The celery, I'm going to cut the sticks or stalks into quarters, and then I'm going to chop those up because I don't like really big chunks of celery in my potato salad. But I'm just going to cut these into 4 slices and then turn them around and cut these into a dice, if you will. And I'm just going to go ahead after I get that done and set those off to the side until I need them later. Now for our dressing, in a large bowl, and you want to make sure that you use a plenty large bowl for this because it does make a lot of potato salad. I've got 1.5 cups of mayonnaise. This recipe really does not work with Miracle Whip, so since we're going to be adding sugar to this, stick to just plain old mayonnaise. I'm going to throw my eggs in there, and using the back of a fork, I'm just going to break up my eggs. If you like big chunks of egg in your potato salad, don't mash it up as much, but I'm going to mash this up pretty fine. And then you want to add in 1/4 cup of sugar, as well as 1.5 teaspoons of salt. It seems like a lot of salt. It really isn't because there are a lot of potatoes here. 2 teaspoons of white vinegar, just plain white distilled vinegar. And then you want to add 2 tablespoons of sweet pickle relish. You could also use dill pickle relish if you wanted to. I like sweet in mine. And finally, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of prepared yellow mustard. If you like a more mustardy potato salad, you can add more mustard if you want to. That's perfectly acceptable. And then using a spoon or a fork, whatever, just go ahead and mix this up well. And then you want to add in your onions and celery and go ahead and get that mixed in. And you want to make sure to mix all of your ingredients and get your dressing thoroughly mixed before you add the potatoes, because you don't want to overmix this once you get your potatoes added. So go ahead and take your cooled potatoes. Again, make sure that they are at least room temperature. You do not want them warm or hot at all. But go ahead and add those into your bowl, and then using a spatula, I'm going to gently fold the dressing into my potatoes. You want your potatoes to remain in as large of chunks as possible. So don't go crazy, stirring. You want to gently fold this so your potatoes do stay as whole as possible. And a little secret for you, just to bind up the dressing just a little bit, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of instant mashed potato flakes into the finished mixture. I'm just going to fold this in. Basically what those do, the potato flakes, they bind up the dressing and make the dressing firm. It also helps it kind of stick to the potatoes a little bit better, so the dressing doesn't run off of the potatoes, which can be a problem with some recipes. So there you go. We want to make sure that those potato flakes are evenly distributed in there and everything is well mixed together. Everything is combined perfectly. Go ahead and give this a taste. Make sure that the salt is okay for you. If you need a little bit more salt, go ahead and add it if you want to. If you need more mustard or vinegar or eggs, whatever, now is the time to do it. But you want to go ahead and cover this with a piece of cling wrap, saran wrap, and refrigerate this for at least 4 to 6 hours before you serve this. The longer you let this sit, the better it gets. But there you go.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel for more videos updates.